You're a good debater and you're not afraid of a fight. So why have your comments off? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I've turned them on for a lot of things.
On your shorts you do.
Right. In some of my lives, I think they're on. But almost as soon as I turn them on, there's photos of my family's homes.
Okay.
What's the address?
Yeah.
And at what point, and I just want to clarify.
Yeah, please.
I don't have to take that abuse.
Agreed.
Like, I don't come to work and slap the dick out of their mouth.
Kind of why do you have a disdain for informants, in your opinion?
I don't disdain them. I downright fucking hate them. Okay. That's okay. But see, this is why I can say it. That guy Jeff's crazy. He's on medication. I have a disdain for them because no man should ever go to prison on the words of another man, number one. Number two, in 90% of the cases you look at, the informant has done more vile and disturbing crap than those that are being accused. Number three, I find it oxymoronic when a man, Joey Merlino, because everybody knows who he is, he goes in front of a judge, they can bring up everything he's ever been accused of, including murders and whatever else. Even though he's acquitted, it doesn't really matter because it's a character judgment. But yet, in that same case, you can't turn that around and say, well, let's judge the rat. Judges don't allow that. So for me, it's like you're walking in, you're already behind the eight ball.
And now it's time for Mob Talk Radio with your host, Jeff Canarsie.
And good Sunday to all of you. I am Jeff Canarsie from Mob Talk Radio. Now, while I normally, and I know I say this a lot, while I normally do not get involved in he said, she said, in sort of the drama of it all, I'm a little tired of a couple of things. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I have obviously a personal gripe. Number one, Joey's my friend, okay? Number two, Gene has done some things throughout his life that are absolutely disgusting. And so with all of this Merlino and Gene stuff going on, I figured I would give you my 2 cents in only the way that Jeff Canarsie can do it. So this is pretty much what we're going to be discussing for the next few minutes. And we're going to set the record straight here. One thing I need to do really quick is I need to pull up something that I think some of you are going to find completely interesting. And I'm going to have to pull that over there because I want to make a valid point. Okay, so there's a lot of things I want to say. And there's a couple of ways I was going to do this. But I figured let's just be Jeff Canarsie for about 10 minutes. And there's a lot of things I want to say, but some things that I can't, obviously, because the new trend amongst YouTube is to flag my channel. And that's right. The rats have their crews working overtime on my channel. And it amazes me that other channels are saying horrific stuff 10 times worse than me. But I say vertically challenged in the old school way, and I get suspended. It's amazing to me. And I don't really want to specifically talk about organized crime in a way that people might expect today. First of all, at the end of the day, whether you like Joey Merlino or not, whether you agree with him or not, really doesn't, it's an invalid point. The reality is whoever Joey is, whoever Joey was, whoever Joey will be defined by his life. And the reality is a rat talking about him, spewing vulgar things about a guy's wife, tells you sort of mentally where he's at in his life. It's like a 10-year-old with a pituitary gland disorder. In fact, Gene, talks about having all kinds of money. Because you know how Gene likes to pretend he's a baller and has all of these expensive cars. But really, Gene is poor. He has no money. And I'm about to show you why. Because does everyone know what the word indigent means? It means you have nothing to sustain your life. You do not have the means or the funds by which to sustain your life. So, want me to prove that? We're about to do it. 1 second. Let's pull this up. For all of that talking, for all of the money he has, or doesn't have. So let's look at this. The state of Florida versus Gene Borrello, defendant, provisional order appointing public defender. This cause, which is telling you the reason why, having come before the court, and that the defendant has requested to be found indigent pursuant to section 27-52 Florida statutes. The court understands that the defendant's affidavit for indigent status is still under review. It is therefore ordered the public defender is appointed to represent him because he has no money. All of these book deals, all of these Hollywood deals he's telling you about, no, not so much. Because back in October, he had to get a public pretender, high roller, big money guy, doesn't have a dime to his name. So let him keep spinning that narrative. Unbelievable. This is what informants do. They lie, they capitulate, they try to make themselves out to be something that they never were and never will be. Those are facts. So listen, the truth is, informants have to attack real men because it's a way for them to make themselves feel better about being a lowlife, about being liars, about being forgotten losers at the bottom of the turd pile in a cat box. 100 years from now, who are they going to remember? Joey Merlino or some filthy informant whose entire notoriety is based on lies and delusions? And so let's talk about the genetic makeup of a gangster. Do gangsters rob old women of their wedding rings? Do gangsters break into homes in their neighborhoods nonstop? Is that what gangsters do? How many times did Albert Anastasia break into an old lady's home and steal her wedding rings? Well, the answer is simple. He didn't. Because men don't do that. And this is something a degenerate filth bag does. He's not a gangster. That's crackhead behavior. And all of these informants have one thing in common. And I shouldn't say every single one of them, because not every single one of them does this. There's one or two that did that, believe it or not, don't. And just to raise a reference point, Bill Cotolo has never hinged his life on anybody else. There are others that have not hinged their lives on anybody else. But the common denominator is they don't want to go to jail. And it is what it is. All of them have to attach themselves, not all of them, but most of them have to attach themselves to big names, most of which who are deceased and can't even defend themselves. And in most cases, as we've come to find out, they didn't even know them. Sal Polizzi, ring a bell? And the reason why they do this is because without a name attachment, who the fuck is going to know who they are? And the answer is nobody. If your entire self-grandizing reputation is based on how tough somebody else is, then you're a lowlife, a coward, a punk, and nothing more. The sole reason why Gene has decided to attack Joey is there's a couple of sort of machinations of this. I could be Tom LaVecchia. Let's unpack this. But I really think he has feelings associated with Joey he's not really ready to admit to. Both he and his partner there, shortstop Mick Rumprammer, are attracted to Joey. And that's the only thing I can kind of come up with. They have a deep-rooted hidden emotions that they don't know how to control without KY jelly in a fist. Gene has never cracked an egg in his life. Most of his stories in the book that he wrote, which, by the way, was pitiful, thousands of spelling errors, total lies, and they make him out to be some sort of one-man head cracker and shooter. He was none of those things. In fact, have you guys ever watched Roseanne? He was more like David and Mark than Guido and Vinny. Let's just be honest. And this is a punk who took his mommy to court to beg for a judge to keep him from going back to jail. How many men take mommy to court to beg for them? That is what cowards do. Real men stand on their own 2 feet, and they face the reality of their situations. You couldn't hold a candle to Joey ever in your life. Neither one of you could. In fact, the other one, his little sidekick that he's hanging out with, let me tell you a story about what happened to him. He was on the Jersey Shore peddling a book. And he had all kinds of things to say about guys in South Philadelphia that he never met, never knew, never will. And the wife of a guy in South Philly was just passing by. She recognized him. And he began to run his mouth about her husband, who is somebody you don't want to mess with. And she said to him, "Are you going to be here for a while?" He's like, "Well, yeah, why?" She goes, "Because the man you're talking about is my husband, and he'll be down here in 15 minutes. And his little pal picked up all of his stuff and was last seen running down the boardwalk as fast as he could. That's how tough these guys are. And that is a true story. Gene could never be Joey in his own delusions. He spends money on lip enhancements and Walmart eyebrow waxing. You look like you started a bus on a cold day. Listen, in my world, and in many of yours, the worst thing you can do in life is make fun of a deceased child, call somebody a pedophile, and smack women. Gene has done all 3 of these things consistently for years. And it's not allegations, it's the truth. The cold, hard truth. How fun it must be to wake up on a Sunday while applying aloe to those lips, then applying the Kool-Aid packet to look so rambunctious and tough. But the truth is, you're a lowlife and a rat. You're someone who smacked women, robbed women, and your existence is built on your delusions and rat status. And how does it feel? I'm just curious. How does it feel to know when this world ends, nobody's going to remember you for anything? You live off others' names, their actions, and their reputations. I mean, come on. You got chased out of your old neighborhood. You couldn't even take being bullied by 3 teenagers. That's not a tough guy. That's a coward. These are all things Joey has never done, never will do, ever in his life. He can walk to his neighborhood with his head held high. He ain't got nothing to worry about. And the mere fact that you went after somebody's wife is about as stupid as it gets. And all of you out on YouTube land, you don't see this for what it really is. 0 intelligence, 0 acumen, holding on to another man's reputation and coattails so you can make ends meet. How pathetic is that? And those of you who platform knowing that he abused women are just as repulsive. Even most rats don't like that sort of stuff. But Gene is about the bottom of the barrel when it comes to informants. And he shows us what the genetic makeup of one is. Now, taking some character assertions off the table, Gene's thoughts about anything regarding organized crime to me is funny. He was a nobody in the streets and a bottom in the sheets. I'll say it again. He was a nobody in the streets and a bottom in the sheets. And you're not going to go to South Philly. You'll say you are in the car with your little buddy there, but you were going to the airport. Why don't you tell everybody the truth? You're not going to South Philly. Neither one of you would have the balls to do that. And your clown friend knows what happened to him when he was near Philadelphia and ran away. And number 1, you're not going to go there, right? Number 2, Gene knows that if Joey threatens him, that's a federal charge. You guys need to see this for what this is. This is an extension of ratting again. Tough guys don't need to tell the world what they're going to do. They just do it. That's organized crime 101, which should tell you. Gene doesn't know the first thing about being a street guy at all. It's ad sales from a walrus-lipped degenerate who needs money so bad, he's willing to be the loudmouth on YouTube. Who is Gene beat up? Can somebody please tell me? Who is he addressed personally in their face? Who is he attacked? Name me one person. The last time I checked, he was sitting down in Florida running his motorboats. Tampa ain't too far away, pal. Go there and run your mouth there in person. You're not going to do that. The clout that he wants, he can never have. He can never acquire. You are simply Ronnie G's bitch boy, his fuck boy, who did whatever he was told, and then couldn't even apparently do that right. See, in the streets, there are born leaders and there are soldiers. You were never either one of those things. These claims that you are XYZ are inflated by your desire to be what you want to be. And you weren't ever anything like that. You weren't tough. You weren't relevant. You weren't revered. Your name, that last name, will be recycled in the shit bin. And you have embarrassed your legacy and your name, and that will forever be synonymous with shit. Way to go. You made it, kid. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you some really good advice. You're playing with fire that you cannot contain and control. And that's what people need to understand here. Everybody may be sitting back and enjoying the rhythm of fighting back and forth, but I don't think anybody truly understands how stupid this kid is. Men have been killed for a whole lot less. But that's a part of who Gene is. Let me just run my mouth. I'm the big tough guy, but yet ran away from 3 fucking 12-year-olds in Ozone Park. You are playing with a man who is honored, who is revered and loved. Whether or not you agree with what he does, what he says, those are just the facts. The only reason why you're doing this is, like I said, is for likes and views and your kind of hidden feelings. Yeah, you have some hidden feelings there. But it's because if he mentions you, you get validated in some kind of weird way. I have never seen a whole selection of men in my life that get validated by another man. Oh my God, he talked to me. Ooh. That's what this is paramount to. This is what this is all about. Ooh, a real gangster, a real man said hi to me. Ooh. Ooh. That's all this is, because it makes them feel liked. It makes them feel like they're on a certain level. But you know, the reality is nobody can stand you. Your entire life has been built on abusing women on some level, time and time and time again. What an accomplishment for you. And they say a hydrocephalic can't learn. You belong in a cage, being flipped over every 2 minutes like a pancake, splattered with batter from another inmate. That's what you deserve. And those are facts. But enough of the nostalgia. A lot of you are enjoying the crap of this drama. And I don't think that anybody really understands how this works. The first thing informants always do when you combat them with truth is to say you're a rat. And then they'll say anybody around you is a rat. Because that's their only argument. And when that is your only argument, you've already lost. You've already lost. There are some men who go to prison, they take it like a man, and that's it. But then there's people like Gene who, can't. And it is what it is. But he knows he cannot live that down. So the only way that they can retaliate is they sexualize you. They make up sexual rape allegations about you, call you a pedophile. This is what they do. That is their only combative stance. Because they can't say Joey's a rat. They can't say he's stand up. They can't say he's not a man's man. He's all of those things. And by the way, he got higher up, allegedly, according to the feds, than either one of you or any of you could ever hope to be. And the amount of your low self-esteem and your position in life really drives that narrative. And that's the reality. Is the only reason why this is happening. The only reason is because Gene will say whatever he can to get Joey to slip up and get mad and say something stupid. And how long do you think it's going to be before the feds knock on his door and arrest him for threatening a federal informant? That's what the game here is. Do you guys not see this? These guys never stop telling on people. His little partner is still an active informant in the in East New York and in Philadelphia and in Jersey. Active, not retired, active. And if you don't believe me, I'll put the paperwork up. It's by design. They are so insecure as males, they have to hinge their whole entire life on another man. That's some borderline Liberace stuff there, in my opinion. Because men make reputations on their own names. But if you don't believe me, go watch every informant video you've ever seen, with the exception of maybe one or two guys. And you will always see them talk about JohnGotti, or they will talk about Vinny Asaro, or they'll talk about this one, or Joey Merlino, or that one. Because without those names attached to them, they are nobody. They're nobody. And that's my thing. If you have to hedge your whole entire life on name recognition of another man, you were nobody to begin with. And Sal Polizzi really rings a familiar tune here because JohnGotti. Well, he didn't know JohnGotti for starters. But how many of you ever heard of Sal Polizzi? Bet zero. How many of you heard of Gene Borrello prior to him coming on YouTube? Probably zero. And that's the reality. Good, bad, and indifferent. If you don't like Joey, it is what it is. And it's easy for somebody who never amounted to anything in life to point at another man who's been relatively successful, depending on whatever, because I'm not going to get into the whole criminality of all of it. They're jealous. They're so jealous because they wanted to be that, but never could because they never had the balls, the acumen, the loyalty. They were born to be snitches. Nothing more, nothing less. And so while all of you are enjoying this for what it is, I want you to understand one thing. All this is a narrative to get Joey arrested. That's all this is about. That's the only reason why they're doing it. Because remember, someone's indigent. He needs money. So what's better? Attack Joey Merlino, get him to say something dumb, and they'll arrest Joey. That's what this is. And do any of you really think Gene would say any of that to Joey's face? I guarantee you he wouldn't. He says he would. He always likes to say that while he's living in some apartment with somebody else paying his bills. Oh, if he's here, I'm going to go do this. Go do it. Why are you telling everybody, tough guy? Go do it. You're not going to do it. Because he's not going to put himself anywhere near Joey because he knows what could happen as a result. This is what informants do. And even from an informant perspective, let me make this one last point and then I'm going to be done. For other informants that are out there, how can you even speak to that guy knowing he abused women? Even if you're an informant, how could you stand by a guy that did that? Because even if I don't agree with informants and I don't like what they did, I still think that there is a percentage of ones out there that stand for something still. And abusing women is probably not on that list. So my question to the other informants out there is, why do you befriend? And I get it, informants are informants, and I'm not defending any informants. But what I'm saying to you is as a man, take the informant shit off the fucking table. As a man, how can you be friends with somebody that abused a woman? How can you? As a content creator, how can you platform a guy that's abused women? You're quick to chastise other content creators and go after them on unfounded allegations and assertions, but yet the people in your own little circle do this kind of thing and you say nothing. And that's the hypocrisy about everybody. And at the end of the day, the difference is Joey's a man's man. Gene's a lowlife rat and a nobody and never will be anything. And I don't think Gene understands what Me Too movement is either. You're going to have a hard time in Hollywood, Gene, when people find out that you like to toss women around. Because if you think there's not 1,000 people that aren't going to find out what production you're involved in and send them all your records, you're wrong. You're wrong. And that's the truth because Jeff Canarsie says so.